Hello, and welcome to another edition of my ongoing series. I've decided to change the name of this series or this playlist. It's going to be OUTTAKE ESL now. I think that's more befitting my sort of. I just like that title better. I think it's a little more unique than Wheelhouse ESL. So we're going to go rechange this OUTTAKE ESL. So welcome to OUTTAKE ESL. I'd like to go over a lesson here. It's based on animal sounds that I did earlier this year. This is the presentation I put together for it. Of course, the most obvious choice of songs here is Old MacDonald Had a Farm. So this is a song I would use for this lesson to start it off with. Now I play the guitar, but I'm finding with the young ones, it's not a good idea. Like, don't bring the guitar in the classroom because they will just make that the focus of the entire class, and it will all be about just having a guitar there and what they can touch it and feel it, and they'll never let it go, you know. So it's kind of like one of those things you can't really do in the ESL classroom with the kids. You know, as they get older, maybe if you want to bring the guitar and do a song as they get older, a little more disciplined behavior-wise with the classroom, or familiar with the classroom, then maybe you can bring it in, but I wouldn't suggest doing it with little toddlers. And this is for second graders. This is all based on animal sounds. Great place to start is Old MacDonald Had a Farm. And I have an audio loaded in here. It's not appearing here because I've removed the file, but I have a video of Old MacDonald Had a Farm that I loaded into the PPT. Sometimes that works, sometimes not so much. As you can see, it wasn't really sort of working properly there. But we go through the song and we go E-I-E-I-O. They tend to know that, it's a good thing. And on this farm he had a what? You know, and you can go through, you can really use this song. You know, you can really use this song with the sounds. You know, you can do the song, have them sing it, and then you can use these slides, or then I use these slides as sort of a review of what they were just singing and comprehension. Dog says wolf. And there's a bunch of these slides that go through the different, depending on the version I'm using. You know, depending on the version I'm using, and I have to use all the correct animals and the correct sounds. Let me just make one more thing. What I'm noticing as I'm watching these videos is that my English is sometimes atrocious when I'm speaking into the camera, and I find that's kind of interesting to me, and it's certainly giving me, that's why I'm calling it outtake, because when I'm in the classroom I'm much more vigilant in my language, but I'm surprised at how atrocious my English is casually on the camera here. And I think that's really comes from 8 years of being in a situation where you're constantly in a position where you have to be constantly correcting it, you know, and it just kind of wears away with it at you at some point. So I'm noticing that in these videos my English actually comes off as very atrocious, but in the classroom it's much different. So we go through these slides, and then I have this kind of activity. What do you hear? This is kind of out of place, but there's a and this is an activity you can use for the senses also. What you do is you just kind of load in a sound in the action settings of an image in PowerPoint, and you know, it's almost like one of the few triggers that you can program in iOS, and then you just use it as well. What was it? Okay, it was a duck. Let's see if there's better. That's probably not one of the better ones. All right, that's probably better. All right, so who knows what it is? You can use this as a warm-up activity. See what they know. Do they know lion? Do they know bear? And you can use that as a game. And you can use your reward system to sort of to reward them. You know, you can use if it's a game or sticky ball. I was doing sticky ball here. So I have this activity. And some of these are still out of order. You know, sometimes I'll find myself, depending on whether the classroom is in, what kind of mood is in, do I need to settle them down, I can jump to these activities, I can jump out of the lesson plan and go to these activities to get them more in control or more get their attention back. But what I did with this animal sounds, I broke it down into four categories. I did bugs, and then I did, I introduced what kinds of noises do bugs make. And I introduced language. A blah blah makes a blah blah sound. And it's a little bit of a guessing game. I think you're supposed to hear it, yeah. Alright, so you hear the sound. Usually what I do is I introduce the language and then I give them the sound. Does anybody know what it is? Anybody know what it is? Let's see if anybody reveal it, and then I give them the language. It's a B. What kind of a noise does it make? A buzzing sound. So the whole idea here is to correlate B and buzzing. That is the language it's supposed to take away. And I have a number of these. And since it's China, I know cicada is kind of an odd choice as a bug in terms of sort of North America. But since it's China, this is one of the most common bugs here, the cicada. So I brought it into here. And I said it makes a humming noise. So I do four bugs, different sounds they make, and then I do a review section. Once you get to that review section. Here. I got a review section here. I give them, after going through the four bugs and the sounds they make, I want them to kind of, all right, do they remember what it is? It's a B, very good. What kind of noise does it make? What kind of noise does it make? Buzzing, humming, chirping, or mooing? Or buzzing. So that's the review section of that. And like I said, I broke it down into four different categories or four different sets of vocabulary. One was birds. Do four birds. I could do a duck. Duck does a quacking, an owl does a hooting. Same setup here. Reveal makes a hooting sound. Makes a hooting sound. Right? Four different birds. Then I do a review, and then I go on to small animals and big animals. So, for instance, small animals. I do a thing on small animals and things like a mouse, same like a dog, and big animals, elephant, lion, so forth. And I do review all in that same sort of, all with the same sort of format. I don't really change it. And one of the things is, like I said, is as being in this for 8 years, I have accumulated so much. Sometimes I'll take an exercise I did with adults and just kind of change the imagery and the language and make it for children, like I did here. A reward system here, I'm going to put this here, even though I don't really use it with this one. This is something I call the boom room. It's just a game board. We set up a 5x5 grid, put the 10 points in the middle. These are out of space, and every boom is -10. Put some numbers around. It goes up to 7 here. Two teams, they start here, and then they can roll the dice. Roll the dice, and you can go, if you get a 6, they can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or they can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, but they just can't go backwards. I find if they go backwards, they just kind of exploit it too much, and it just becomes unfun. They just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and just try and always get the same thing. But it's pretty fun. It's pretty successful. The kids kind of have fun with this kind of board game. It's kind of your basic board game. These 4 squares, of course, you can't land on. You can't use, but otherwise, this is actually good for directions because, and I prefer to use it in any lesson I'm doing with directions. because then I ask the students to say, okay, which direction do I go? And they can say right 2, down 2, or left 2, up 4. You know, and I do all the moving of the piece for them, of the pieces for them, and that way they're giving me directions. They're using the language once again. With this animal one, I'm still kind of working on ideas for a reward system here. I'm certainly hopefully I'll find something that will sort of cater to, you know, the idea of animal sound. It's just kind of difficult to do that when it's all an audible kind of exercise. All right, but that's all for this. This is a grade 2 animal sounds presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and catch you next time on Outtake ESL.